Alright, I want to have a discussion, and I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm just creating a hypothetical based off of things you loosely hear. I'm not putting any stock into this. I'm just putting this in a worst case scenario. What could potentially happen if this all does not work and it all blows up? Over the past couple of months, with David Zaslav canceling everything, not even DC related, just anything that Warner Brothers has created. Their whole HBO Max system is completely finished. All these movies or TV shows that might have been in development have now been canceled, and Warner Brothers is in some serious debt right now. So I'm sure you've heard this whole speculation that will Warner Brothers be bought by Universal Studios? And now I'm sure some of you guys are hearing these reports that people within Warner Brothers Discovery are not liking how James Gunn is handling the new DC studios. Like I said, I'm not putting any stock into these rumors. You know, when you get into a position like this, people are bound to not like you. You're always going to be faced with opposition like this. I don't care if you are a CEO of DC Studios or if you are becoming the manager at a Kelsey's restaurant. You are going to be faced with types of opposition, but we all know that lately it hasn't been the prettiest for DC and especially James Gunn. Removing Henry Cavill as Superman was detrimental to the progress of their DCU. I'm not saying it's a good thing or it's a bad thing. It sure does hurt. It stings. It really sucks. But maybe it is the right move for their DCU. And hey, maybe Henry Cavill comes back in the future. We still don't have a definitive answer on that. So we can't be too quick to judge. Even though it might not look like he ever will, who knows? There's no guarantee that move means the DC universe is now in good hands. If anything, that has made people even more skeptical about James Gunn and now less certain about his universe moving forward. James Gunn on Twitter yesterday posted a bunch of tweets about how they are making these decisions knowing it's not going to make everyone happy. They are under a lot of opposition. They've been under hate speech and they're expecting stuff like this, blah, blah, blah. They know what they signed up for essentially, and they are just asking everyone to be patient, which I think is fair. We should be patient. We really don't know what's in store. Now, the biggest irritation people are having is the removal of Henry Cavill as Superman, as to be expected, but now people are wondering what he's doing with the rest of the actors in the DC universe, removing potentially Gal Gadot and every single other person that we've known to be the characters before, and then he'll keep his creations. He's not going to recast anybody, and he's going to start from there, which would be a huge low blow. And honestly, if you're doing a full-on reboot and you're going to kill the creations before you got to kill your creations too, because if he doesn't, that is not a good look. And now you're going to see where his priorities lie, meaning his priorities is what he wants to see and not what the fan base wants to see. And when you're making a universe like this, you have to find a healthy balance. Once again, there is still no guarantee on who's staying and who's going, but from what we do know right now and from how we can interpret the moves they're making, Jason Momoa is staying, but he will no longer be Aquaman. He will have a new role. Margot Robbie will be staying as Harley Quinn. Viola Davis as Amanda Waller, which I think is a fantastic move. And then John Cena as Peacemaker. Now, James Gunn has been replying to some people who have been talking about the removal of some of these actors from their characters, and when talking about Gal Gadot being removed as Wonder Woman, he has responded that he does not know where that rumor has come from because they essentially don't have any plans on removing Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. Then again, he's never definitively stated that he's going to keep Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, so Even that is up in the air right now. If this is a reboot, you gotta treat it as a reboot, and you have to restart everything, which would mean recasting nearly everybody. I'm okay with keeping some characters the same, but if you're gonna keep your entire universe the same and strip the other, I don't really see that being fair, and now your judgment will be put severely into question. Now, like I said, this is all hypothetical. I don't know what's going on. I'm not judging James Gunn either. I do not have a vendetta out for James Gunn right now like a lot of the fan base does, and even people outside of the DC fan base. You're seeing it everywhere. Hashtag fire James Gunn. He needs to leave. Terrible CEO. All because of one decision to remove Henry Cavill from Superman, which honestly is not a decision you should take lightly. That is a big deal. Things have gotten so bad for James Gunn that people are even starting to dig up his old tweets of very poor jokes he used to make years ago. But they're starting to dig that up to cause even more problems for James Gunn again. That is how bad things have gotten for the new CEO of DC. I can't judge James Gunn right now based off of what he's giving to us for DC. We don't have his 10-year plan, and we still don't have a film or a project within that 10-year plan that we can rightfully judge and critique. Until that happens, well, I will save my judgment in that form till later. Although I'm going to be honest with you, I am very worried about James Gunn writing the Superman movie. I don't think James Gunn is a very good writer. I think he struggles with consistent character arcs. I don't know how he's going to handle a Superman film when Superman does not take part in any of the corny, cringy dick jokes that he likes to throw in his Suicide Squad or Guardians of the Galaxy films. And look, if this hurts my credibility with DC moving into my future, so be it. I would rather be honest than sit here and lie to you thinking that DC is better than ever and it's going to be okay, because once again, with everything going on, even before James Gunn became CEO of DC, we've all had the right to be worried about DC's future. Continuing more about this recasting and replacing actors for DC characters, there's a very big chance this is all too soon. This is all coming too fast. And I know we can always talk about how, well, they change Batman and Spider-Man actors every couple of years. And whereas that is absolutely true, what isn't true is the replacing and recasting of actors for entire universes. And I can't stress enough the shoes that this future actor for Superman has to fill. He is not going to have a good time coming into this role and trying to prove to people that he can be the next Superman after Henry Cavill, arguably the most loved Superman of all time, arguably more than Christopher Reeve. Whether this is a good move or not, whether this is beneficial to their DCU or not, I'm gonna say this once again, it is not a good look to remove Henry Cavill like this. And it's not a good start to your DC universe. If it ends up working out, we won't need to discuss this anymore. We won't need to be like, oh man, remember when they removed Henry Cavill? Yeah, it might still sting, but if it works, it works. We won't need to discuss this. But if this does not work, we will forever be reminded they removed Henry Cavill for this. They are on a fine line here and they have to tread carefully. This is not me saying I want Gunn to fail. This is me being realistic and seeing what is in front of us. And not only is recasting a lot of these characters too soon, and it might leave audiences feeling unattached and not caring about this future universe, it leads me into the Superman film itself. This Superman movie, which I can assume will drop in the next 2 years, they're probably going to fast track it starting next year. If it fails, the DCU that James Gunn was planning is done. I do not see how you create a Superman movie which is supposed to start the DCU, failing in the box office, and having Warner Brothers and DC Studios say, all right, next film. It's not going to happen. They have one shot here. I will repeat, in my opinion, but I think it's good judgment of an opinion, if James Gunn Superman film fails, the DCU is over. Some people are even saying the DCU has ended before it even began. And once again, I can't judge that because that is not fair to James Gunn. And then here comes the whole rumor or speculation of Universal Studios buying Warner Brothers. This has been talked about for the past couple of months, frankly, ever since David Zaslav canned the Batgirl film. And with all the issues Warner Brothers has gone through, with all the debt that this company has right now, people are wondering, higher ups might be wondering, if Warner Brothers will get sold to Universal Studios. And David Zaslav has said that that is not in the cards. That is not going to happen. But a lot of these higher up executives and CEOs will say what they need to save face. I am once again speculating. This is a discussion. This is a discussion about worst case scenario. So, worst case scenario. James Gunn's Superman film fails, bombs in the box office, barely scratches 350 million worldwide. People cannot get on board with the new Superman actor. People do not like the fact that it's more about Clark Kent being a journalist than fighting up against some of his toughest foes. They don't like the on-screen chemistry between the new Superman and the new Lois Lane. So many things could go wrong with this film. The biggest problem being no Henry Cavill. So, with your number one superhero of all time failing, not being capable of conjuring up an audience for this future DCU, what would Universal do with the acquirement of Warner Brothers? Now, I don't fully know how the business works. Even though DC Studios is a studio of its own, they are still interconnected with Warner Brothers, which I would then assume wherever Warner Brothers goes, DC Studios will go. At that point, I could only assume that Universal would pull another Zack Snyder situation where they keep some of Gunn's universe and then want to change other parts of it, or they once again go through another full reboot, and here we are right back at the beginning doing this all over again. A couple months ago, I would have told you that Universal buying DC and Warner Brothers was far-fetched. That would never happen. Where are you getting that info from? Now, it's possible. Just a discussion. Just a worst-case scenario. But that worst-case scenario is scary. We would be looking at 2 DC Universe reboots in less than 2 to 3 years. Comic books don't even reboot their DC Universe that fast. I think where the DC Universe is right now with the fan base and the audience, you have one spectrum who is over the hill, fire James Gunn. This is a dumpster fire already. James Gunn doesn't know what he's doing. Oh my God, did you hear the reports that even Warner Brothers doesn't know what he's doing? It's too much the narrative to be against him. But then you have another side of people who are like, oh my God, this is amazing. He's already starting this DC universe so great. James Gunn is by far the best filmmaker I've ever seen in my life. He's going to create the best DC universe ever. Bravo, Mr. Gunn. Both those sides need to chill. You have excessive optimism and pessimism, and it's just not doing anything for anyone, because in a situation like this, you need to be a realist. The realist would understand that we can't know how this is going to work until we know how this is going to work. We need to see things. We need to have concrete information. We need to have confirmation. A realist can see that this might not be a good start to a DCU, but a realist also sees that we do not know what we're going to get in the DCU, and it could be good. We need to keep in mind the decisions James Gunn has already made, the the decisions that are waiting to be made, where it could go from here, and what has happened before James Gunn himself. There's a lot to take in here. I'm just gonna leave it at this. That Superman film better be good, because if it fails, you might be back here on this channel in the next 2 years, and we're gonna be doing this all over again. Reboots may unfortunately be part of our nature as a DC fan. But anyways, everyone, it is now your turn to let me know in the comments below what you think of this entire situation, of my speculation. Once again, this was a discussion. This wasn't me saying it's going to happen. I was just detailing a worst case scenario and everything going on in DC Studios right now. But that's all I got for you on this one, guys. And until next time, I will talk to you all very soon.
Tree time.